When it comes to wedding photography, as photographers, we can sometimes become a little bit distracted by things like camera gear, lighting, all that stuff that doesn't really matter. And it's easy to lose sight of what actually matters. As wedding photographers, you're solely responsible for doing one job, and that's documenting the love story on the happiest day of the couple's life. Sometimes a moment will present itself to you, and sometimes you'll have to manipulate a moment slightly. But in the end, as long as you document it, that's all that matters. I wanted to talk today about wedding photography and having a particular approach that has really helped me over the years as a wedding photographer. When you first get into weddings, you see photographs online of, amazing portraits with amazing light. And as you start doing weddings, you quickly realize that these situations aren't easy to manipulate and conjure up. So it works into your hands if you become, or if you quite easily fit the mold of a journalistic photographer. Now, you could say that's quite easy because all you've got to do is snap. You don't really have to set up moments, you've just got to wait there. But I mean, to some degree, that's what it is. You've just got to anticipate a moment, wait, make sure you're composed, and make sure you've got the right shot settings on your camera, and then get the shot. I mean, you could say it's as simple as that, but I wouldn't exactly say it is. It's more about being able to sniff a moment, anticipate that something's coming, and over experience and over the years, it gets a little easier to shoot in that style. Now, one of the ways that I could probably explain myself a little bit better is capturing moments that can never be recreated. That really, for me, is the USP of my wedding photography business, really. I try and aim to capture as many moments that can never be recreated as possible. So I don't pitch my wedding photography as an amazing portrait photographer that uses 48 lights and takes the couple away from the congregation for 3 weeks to Dubai while we get some photos. That's not really my style. Maybe it will be one day if I did destination weddings. I would never say no to a high-end wedding, but for me it's definitely all about story. It's all about love. It's all about connection between people. So I wanted to talk briefly about a couple of weddings that I've done. You can't really teach it, and that sounds awful, me saying that. Well, you can't actually teach it. It's something that you just learn to have a journalistic style. You've just got to be Johnny on the spot, really. And it's as simple as that. I mean, I want to talk quickly about a couple of weddings I've done. So years ago, when I was really in the early stages of getting into weddings, I shot a wedding for a couple who strangely had been married before, married again, and then found each other in later life and got married again. And their story was absolutely amazing to be a part of. They got married in an amazing castle in South Wales in a place called Pembrokeshire, and the castle was called Manorbier, I don't know how to say it, castle, and they had it to themselves. And one of the most memorable things for me, and what everyone will remember from this wedding, is bride and groom actually walked down the aisle together, and as soon as I got down there, the brother-in-law, the best man, his phone went off in the middle of the service, and it was just the perfect thing that everybody needed to just break the ice, lighten the mood a little bit. And it was an amazing thing. And Laura and me shot that wedding together. She was at the back of the room. I think she might actually be in shot. You can see her in the corner at the back, and then I was at the front as the bride and groom were coming down, and I managed to get an amazing reaction there from the bride and groom, and as well as their cringing brother-in-law. So I love that photograph, and that's just a really good moment that can never be recreated. So always be ready, always be ready with your camera, and know your shot settings inside out. So whether that means you needing to be on aperture mode or auto ISO, whatever it is that makes you get the shot quicker and expose it right, that's what you need. That's exactly what you need. Now, another wedding that I did with my mate Tom. We were down on the Cornwall coast and we did a wedding at a place called Rame Head, and the venue was called Polhorn Fort. And it was one of those days where the sun just never seemed to set. It was about 9:30 at night, and everyone just decided to just go down to the beach, and it was just amazing to be a part of. It had a real rock and roll feel, this wedding did. It was a really, I say, not traditional, but it was just a really authentic, different wedding, and I love being part of weddings like that. We all went down to the beach. Not every single member of the wedding did, and we ended up doing some portraits of the boys and the girls down there, and I got some candids of everyone walking to the beach, and that was another moment that again just could never be recreated. I just saw everyone walking down, and Tom and I just followed, and we got some good stuff between the two of us. And another one that is a real favourite of mine is at the front of my website, was at an amazing venue in Wantage in Oxfordshire called Lane's Barn. And a friend of mine from school married her sweetheart, Ben. So Emma and Ben got married. And as I was lining up their portraits to shoot in the midday sun, their dog, Willow, their cockapoo, was part of the wedding. And I got down really low so you can see the blades of grass. And Willow just wanted to know what I was doing. So he just ran, made a beeline for me, attacked me. Well, they didn't attack me, but he just kind of attacked me with love. But just before that, I managed to fire off a few shots. So we've got some awesome photos of Willow just before I got licked to death. Another one that I really love as well was the father of the bride walking the bride down the aisle at Kingscote Barn. Again, that's in Gloucestershire in the Cotswolds. And the father of the bride just gave this wink of I trust you, of trust to the groom. And it was just amazing. And I can't believe I captured it, because the wink, how long is a wink? Like 500th of a second? I don't know. But I managed to capture it, and I'm so glad that I did. And it's pin sharp, and I'm really glad that I managed to get that. Another one that I really like, this is more on the portrait side of things. I was in a wedding in Worcester, and I've got a lovely portrait of the bride just composing herself just before she got out to get married, and she was just in the vintage car, and I got a lovely shot with reflected light, with trees in the reflection, and you can just cut through that, and you can see the bride just nervously just adjusting a dress, taking a few moments for herself just before she got out. And again, that was a really, really nice moment to snap. And I think, for me, if there's a good chance that if I like it, the bride will really like it. If I think it's good. So sometimes it's about taking a few snaps, working out which one of those snaps was the best, and then sending that on to the bride or adding that to their collection. It's not always a rule, because sometimes what you like, they won't like, and what they like, you don't like. So that's not always how it works. But that particular shot, I know that she's really, really happy with that. So that's a lovely peace of mind for me as a photographer. And the last one I wanted to talk about was at a venue in Shropshire called the Mill Barns. And I got a lovely photograph of the first time I ever worked there, of the bride being hugged by her little brother. And the bride was just in floods of tears, because it was an emotional day for her. And I just managed to snap the little brother, just giving her a really nice squeeze. And we've got her looking at her reflection. She'll probably hate me for this, because she's in tears and she's kind of touching up her makeup. But I just love how proud her little brother looks. And it's a really nice moment. And my advice to anyone who's doing a wedding, or whoever's got a wedding lined up in the future, if weddings ever happen again, is just take as many photographs as you can, because you will get home, and if you've only got a handful of photographs of a particular thing and it doesn't turn out right or how you wanted it, you'll probably kick yourself. We shoot digitally now, so you can take all those photographs, and then you can cull them later. You don't have to include them in the final collection. So my advice would be snap as many moments as you can. Make sure you're well composed. Make sure you're telling the story. Make sure you're well exposed. And that's pretty much it. I mean, that makes it sound like wedding photography is a very easy medium. It really isn't. And I'm very inspired by a lot of wedding photographers. There's a Canon Explorer of Light who's an ambassador for Canon called Sanjay Jogia. You might have seen him at the photography show or endorsing new Canon products. His setups for his portraits are just phenomenal. They're absolutely out of this world. But I've got to be realistic. I can't shoot like that because a lot of the weddings I do are not in Dubai or Santorini or, quaint Italian villages. I'd love them to be one day. But for me as a portrait photographer, is where I want to be and what I strive to aim towards. But when it comes to journalistic photography in a wedding, that probably makes up for 95% of the shots that they're going to get. You don't have time to line them up, and brides and grooms don't want to be, unless they've specifically asked for it, they don't want to be messed with all day. So you've constantly got to find that balance between getting what you want and just letting the day unfold and shooting it as it is. So there you go. That's journalistic photography, and that's definitely the way that I like to shoot. Let me know if you are a wedding photographer, if you've ever shot a wedding before and how you did it. If you've got any interesting stories of the day or any moments that you just instinctively snapped and they can never be recreated. I'd love to hear from you. So thanks for watching this video. If you made it this far, I will see you on the next video, whatever that's going to be about. So take it easy, and I'll see you soon.
Since I've seen that the sun could be bright again, I don't ever wanna be blind again for you. 'Cause if the stars came alive in my dreams again,